It's a documentary that tries to follow the organization Wikileaks and also paint a part of their background history. I mean, mainly about Julian Assange, but also about the others like Daniel Domscheit-Berg, who used to be number 2 in Wikileaks, a German who was associated to Chaos Computer Club, German hacker association. So it's trying to trace, but basically we were following Wikileaks staff or crew for about 4 to 6 months, depending on how you count, and try to tell a bit why do they do it, what is the ideas behind it, and how do they do it. Now, of course, it's a documentary, it's images. You can't delve too deep. I guess you can do that. I mean, in writing and such, you can't delve too deep into this sort of technical or ideological aspect, but try to also show a little bit about the people. How do they look? How do they speak? What do they think of themselves and their work?
And why you decided to do this documentary?
It's one of the biggest story of for media and global politics for at least 10 years. It's a kind of I don't know what to call it, if it's a media revolution or if it's merging of, actually I think it's merging of investigative journalism and internet activism. So you have two sort of different sets of thinking or ways, and I think also that before, concerning new media and this stuff, it has been a lot of talk about bloggers making some media revolution, but it didn't really, I mean, many of the blogs concerning to me, it's just people writing comments on what other people write in real media. So now a lot of them at least. So I think what they did and what will be repeated in many different forms is taking things from sort of both internet media and old, and aligning themselves with older media to create something revolutionary. Yes.
And what was your idea with that documentary? Because you worked for a television, or you wanted to sell it just for doing that?
We did work. We were 2 reporters and producers, and I'm one of them, and we did work as employed by the Swedish national television.
Because the documentary is in internet, so
we did release it on purpose for free in the English version, because we wanted to spread it.
You were very surprised when the things you discovered. You were surprised that for the things you discovered doing that investigation.
I were in a way surprised that there was more. I don't know if surprised is the right word, but I think I got a deeper understanding of the thinking and how and why they did it. Yes.
One of the things that the people expect when they see this documentary is when I like to discover if Julian Assange is a good guy or is a bad guy. You have a conclusion about that?
Well, that's not really the take of the documentary. We try to, I mean, there is really a lot about Julian, but we try to not focus too much only on the person, and if he's a good or a bad guy, I don't know. I mean, that remains a bit to be seen. I think he's both good and bad, but he certainly is a very interesting person.
You could work as you wanted to with him, or?
Well, the harder thing with making it was getting access to him and to other players in this, because they are very secretive. Some of them are a bit paranoid, and there were also, I mean, hundreds or maybe thousands of journalists wanting to get the same access. So actually we were very lucky, and we had good contacts, and there were even like people inside Wikileaks wondering, why do we get this small Swedish team of television guys this access when we don't give it to CNN. But I think maybe it was because we were from small, and also it's public service. I think that helped, because it's not commercial.
And why people go to them? Why people give them the information, the things they put in the leaks, no? And not go for another blog or another people? What is the attraction of?
Well,
Wikileaks?
I mean, of course, if you have sensitive information, you could go to your local newspaper, you could turn to anyone, of course, but I think that the people, it's a question of trust, actually. They have built a reputation of not revealing their sources. And I think another thing also is, it maybe feels more safe and anonymous to give it to them than to give it to your local editor.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, just in general, you want us together? Or
No,
you want
yeah.
Oh, no, because
Like a conversation, it doesn't
just
matter.
about this leaking thing is you should not forget that press has become more and more reluctant to inform the public about. They like scandals, that's nice, but deeper things they don't like very much, and there is more and more collusion between commercial interest and the press. So the press is no longer really independent. And there has been an attempt, for instance, with indie media to make a more independent, that means not necessarily neutral, but independent from commercial interest and political interest, which also goes more and more are the same and are indistinguishable from each other. And, but that's apparently not good enough. Wikileaks was apparently good enough to attract these leaks.
But he decided, or Wikileaks decided, to use 5 big newspapers for explaining the world the last things they have. So that means they believe in the newspapers more than in internet.
The thing is that Wikileaks, as the name indicates, started with the same model as Wikipedia, meaning, say, crowdsourcing, taking it as they expected that many people would, just like many people collaborate and write on Wikipedia and make it better and check facts and do things like that. They at Wikileaks apparently they say. I heard from hearsay, I have no direct contact with Wikileaks. They expected that the public would, many people, volunteers would come into that and do the fact checking and the analysis and interpretation and backgrounding once the leaks were there. But apparently this did not happen. And since they wanted to have these things out in the public, and having only the raw data is simply not good enough. I mean, you're not going to say you have all these, the latest are the Cablegate, all these diplomatic cables. You look into them, and first you have to go through all the codes and find out which embassy did what, and it's too complicated. So they went to the mainstream media for both the work, but also the kind of certification that goes with serious media. And what you have is that investigative journalism. Wikileaks says they are doing investigative journalism. Actually, they pick up where investigative journalism has let us down, because there is less and less of investigative journalism. Yesterday, Saskia Sassen here reminded us that she, from time to time, writes in Der Zeit, sorry for my German. There's a big German opinion newspaper, weekly. It's the last paper in the world which has articles 4 pages long. That is true investigative journalism, meaning that you take a lot of time, you put a lot of research, and you spin a long story about things. And this is not happening anymore in the mainstream press.